all that?
Absolutely, I do.
It's such a great one.
I was just talking about that show with somebody
About all
because
that?
because I said SNL and all that were like has produced the human that I am now for sure. Like my humor is just that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's very fitting that Kenan Thompson started on all, or yeah, he started on all that, then went to
hmm
Kenan and Kel, and now he's on Saturday Night Live, which is
And he's
great.
been on forever. And he's
Yeah.
like so funny. Because I feel like SNL has been like this, where like growing up when I watched it with my parents, like, in the late 90s and stuff, I loved all of it. Like I have
It's
DVDs
hysterical.
of like Chris Farley, of
Yeah.
course. I think I have a Chris Rock one.
Oh, nice.
David Spade one. I have uh Mike Myers too. Just like the best.
Did they ever take? Is there ever like oh, that's it for this season, or is it every Saturday?
I think it's every Saturday.
Oh wow, so that's
It's
like
been
the
but it's
longest time.
Yeah, do you know how long it's been going on though? It's a super old show.
What, like 40 years, 50 years?
Well, now I want to look it up.
Let's take a Google. This is my show. We can do whatever we want. So, oh, you got a computer right there, so it might be
I do,
easier.
yeah.
Yeah, you're
So
definitely
this
gonna
is
be
the
best.
47th season. It started,
Oh
I knew I was going to say the 70s. So 1975 was
yeah, wow,
the first season.
that's
And
not.
like I said, it's been like kind of up and down because even in like the when I was in high school, it was so good with like Andy Sandberg
Mhm.
and when Kristen Wiig was like really big. It was so funny, but I haven't watched it in years now.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah.
Like every now and then, because like girlfriend likes it. Danielle really likes like live shows, which I feel I wish I knew the extent of how much she loved like certain things before I told her to get rid of cable. Because most of my friends, they have like Hulu and Netflix and Disney
Mhm.
Plus and whatever, and we don't really watch TV anymore. But she likes the Oscars and she likes the Grammys, and I felt so bad that she missed live like the Will Smith slap thing. She's like,
Shoot,
I've been
miss
waiting for something.
the slapper heard around the world. I know, cause I usually if, like, something, like a live thing comes up, we have a Discord of, like, a group of friends, and we usually just, like, live it together so we can all watch together, and
Oh,
we were all kind of like, I don't really care too much about the Oscars, like, I don't really care." We all got offline, and then I got a text from my buddy, and he was just like, "We should have watched it."
oh
I was
man,
like, "Dang it," because we missed it. We watched, the New Year's Eve show live too, and it was just, I don't remember what his name is, but he got super schlonkered this year, and it was just really
oh
awkward.
Ryan Seacrest.
No, I can't remember what his name was.
He's the one that still hosts it, right? He like, kind of took
Um,
over for what's his name?
so who's the guy that is like an attractive older guy with like perfect gray hair?
That's a
What's
lot of
his
people.
name?
Like I was just watching A Team with Liam Neeson, and with gray hair, that dude looks amazing.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
attractive old dude. Like what used to be Dick
Live.
Clark. He's been dead for like years now. Like I think like
Oh,
Hugh Laurie, he was really
well,
good looking with gray hair.
it's
Mel
like a
Gibson.
he he has like if you heard his name, you'd be like, "Oh yeah." Um
A lot of people are gonna be questioning my sexuality after this. Maybe he's good looking. But
Ball drop. Okay. Let's see. That's gonna bug me
I mean, you
because
got
it's like
Sylvester Stallone.
a simple name.
Simple name.
Um,
So it's not like salt and pepper. It's like full on gray. Anderson Cooper.
Thank you, Anderson Cooper.
Okay, shout out to Deuce who got
Yeah, shout
that.
out. Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, someone said mentioned
Oh,
George Clooney as well.
yay! Ooh, that's a good one too. But yes, Anderson Cooper. That was.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate you. Um, Yeah, he was with like, he did, like, the live, ball drop, and he was, like, not he was just having a good time, but the guy that he was with got so drunk, and it was live, and so you're just sitting there so uncomfortable, and we were dying because it was so because 'cause I'm not a part of it, so it was great watching it from the outside, like, because you could just see how uncomfortable he was, but George Clooney, yeah, that's a good one too.
Oh, it's
But
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was just watching Three Kings. You ever see that movie?
No.
It's from like I think in like '99. Mark Wahlberg is like a baby in that. Like he like
Ooh.
it's yeah, like he's still great looking, but yeah, he's really young. These three guys. So yeah, so it's Ice Cube, it's Mark Wahlberg, and George Clooney. They get like this map that they they get out of some guy's butt that they had captured. It was like after like Desert Storm or like during Desert Storm. And
Oh, okay, yeah.
oh, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's from the 90s. I had to look it up. From the
Yeah,
90s. Yeah, yeah.
they determine where Saddam Hussein's like gold is, and they go to a bunker and try to get it. And
Dang.
I just saw that the other day. So it's like, oh, George Clooney, my man. Uh,
Such a good-looking dude. And Mark
oh,
Wahlberg too. I mean, my goodness.
it's a great cast. Yeah, it's a great cast.
Yeah,
Really good movie.
goodness. Yeah.
So you are a teacher now, but when you were growing up, did you want to do any animation? Do you want to do any comedy or voice acting? Because we have the same interests like Pokemon and SpongeBob, a lot of Nickelodeon stuff like Fairly Odd Parents, Cat Dog. Is that what you want to do when you were younger?
No, but it's like a thing that I'm like, I would be totally into doing now.
So
But I don't
did you
know.
always want to teach?
No, that's just been a thing from, I mean, I think like the earlier part of my 20s, I
Yeah.
think. And I think the drive of it the most was the changes that happen in education, especially recently, just with like things that I don't really agree with too much, where and even, John Lennon talks about it a lot growing up because obviously he was incredibly talented, like, an amazing like, just had a good, like, artistic brain, but in school, that was never valued, so he was never looked at as being an intelligent kid or an intelligent person because he didn't score certain things on math and
Mm,
know things
fit
about
the mold.
science, yeah.
Yeah.
Fit the mold, exactly, and so I think that was one of my huge things is because I mean, it's gotten so much better, as far as, understanding that there's more than one way to be intelligent,
Yeah.
um, and I think that was, like, the really big drive is to, like, really appreciate that, and, but it's still happening now. I mean, as a 2nd grade teacher, I have to prepare my kids for 3rd grade. At the end of 3rd grade, and that this is just for my school, but at the end of 3rd grade, they need to read 107 correct words per minute. And it makes sense because you want your kiddos to, like, be able to read, which is great, but some people just read slower. Adults read slower. Or, there are some kiddos who, like, take a lot of, like, deep breaths when they read, and so that slows them down, and
Yeah.
it just that's another one that just kills me because it's
So
like, that's not very fair.
yeah, so there's a lot
Yeah.
to go over there. What happens if you can't read that 107 words per minute? Do they just not let you go to fourth grade?
Yep. You are done
What?
for I know, yeah. Not done, but you know what I mean? They have to repeat or do they have to get a lot of extra help. So, as my job teaching 2nd grade, I'm trying really hard to encourage my kiddos. However, that's a little hard to do when you teach online and it's
Oh my. Oh,
virtual.
so it's all online still in Washington?
For
Oh my
me.
God.
Well, I teach at an international school. So I
Oh, okay.
am, I teach kiddos in all different countries. So a lot of what I do is a lot of like support, and of course I teach live lessons. I have 50 students now. I used to have close to 60, but I think just over the year, families decided to do in-person school, which I think is fabulous. That's a whole other story. But a lot of online school families have a lot of like a big job to do. It's a lot on the parents for sure, and it's just parents who work 9 to 5 and they don't have a teaching degree. Like,
Yeah.
could you sit down with a kid and teach a kid how to read? Like, right now, could you do that? Like, how would you explain
I mean, it
long and
depends
short
on the
vowels
kid.
and
You could definitely understand that it doesn't matter how good of a teacher you are. Some kids are just they'll learn a very specific way, and you have to
mhm,
take a while to do that. And some
mhm,
some people just get lucky that their kids are just naturally smart
naturally. Mhm,
and they just can do it, like whatever. So I think it depends on the kid for me. Like
mhm.
I wouldn't know how to explain it. I'd be like,
Exactly, like, could you explain how to how to, like, read letters?
yeah,
It's like, to me, I could teach, but I teach 2nd grade where kiddos already know how to read for the most part. We're still, like, working with homophones, all that fun stuff.
yeah,
But, like, I'm not at that grade level where I'm starting from scratch of letters and the sounds they make, like,
yeah.
any, like, preschool or kindergarten teachers, kudos, because that's really tough to do.
Yeah, I've even seen a TikTok of this like Russian woman, like, and she can speak like with an accent, but you could say that her English is
Mhm.
pretty good. It's like, okay, try to read these words, and she's like rog, and it's just and it's rough,
Yeah.
but she can't put like the GH is like
GH.
blowing her mind, and same thing with like
Yeah.
thorough and all these other words. Like, oh my god, so English is
English
really hard.
is it is
Yeah,
so hard, and even,
yeah,
like, like, as I'm teaching it when kids are like, "Well, why is this pronounced this way, but it's not this way?" And I just go, "That's a good question, and we all don't know."
that's
Yeah.
I think that some teachers, maybe not so much in like second grade, or maybe so, but maybe so much in the older grades, that you can almost never be sure. Like there are some basic rules, that like the kind of I before E except after C type of thing, but um, like with so much information now, so much things being translated,
Mhm.
it's like I feel like you could almost never be sure.
Yep.
Do you ever feel like that when your kids are asking? Do you have to double and triple check
Oh, yeah,
certain
and you
things?
know what? I this is, like, advice that I'm so glad that I gave myself when I was, like, going through school, is, like, I don't know, when you're a kid and you have a teacher, you think that they know everything and that they can never make mistakes, and whenever they, like, don't know something, it's, like, weird, but
Yeah,
I decided, like, I don't want my students to feel like that because then that's when kids start to feel nervous to make mistakes because 'cause they're like, "Oh, my teacher knows everything, and I don't wanna feel silly." Like, I don't wanna feel stupid not knowing something.
yeah,
So, I sometimes, like, make a point to say a kid will ask me a question, and I'll be like, "I actually don't know that, let me look it up." And
yeah,
sometimes there'll be kids who are like, "You don't know that?" And you're like, "No, I don't know everything. Your parents" oh, I don't say your parents don't know everything because I don't wanna, like, step on any
yeah,
toes. But I think that that's so important to, even, like, parents who have kiddos, like, you don't know everything, and I think it's important because then it helps kids to feel comfortable to take what we call, like, academic risks, where they don't feel embarrassed to be wrong about something because their own teacher is wrong about stuff.
yeah,
And that's what I take as, like, parenting advice too for future, I don't have any kiddos yet, but, when that time comes, definitely, like, something I
yeah.
wanna instill in my kids too, like, not everybody knows everything, not everybody's perfect, and make mistakes, it's how you learn,
Yeah, I think
you know?
parents make very good teachers because or teachers make very good parents because they are able to go and take what they learn in the dealing with so many different varieties of kids.
Yeah.
Um, Friend Megan does that, and she has like her full like degree and everything. She in Long Island's a little competitive, so she has like a
Mhm.
teaching assistant job right now, or she
Oh,
had when
nice.
she's a sub now. Um, and I think she's like a permanent sub for a school, which is still pretty legit. You just kind of like
Mhm.
some days you just get paid and just do like whatever, just
Yeah.
deal. But she said like last year she was working in this like problem classroom where they all the kids had some type of affliction or some type of thing, and she's like, it was like one of the most barbaric yet rewarding experiences she had because like she
Yeah.
had like staplers thrown at her head, and like one kid would scream, it would set off the other kids. But then she
Yep.
said like you get so good at learning the nuances of like how kids tick and how kids do like
Yeah.
these different things. So she's like, yeah, if I ever have like a kid that has like behavioral issues, like I'll take care of it like that. It's like, oh,
It's yeah, for real. It's crazy. I have a family friend who she works with middle school kids in like what we used to call like a resource room or like where kiddos go for like extra help. And
yeah,
it's like it gets violent and it's scary, but like you said, a rewarding thing. It would be so hard, because you want to help every kiddo, but every kiddo needs something separate. Like they all need a different thing, a different role model, and you don't have 20 I don't have like 20 clones of myself, so I can't do it.
yeah,
But people like, teachers who do that are like special education teachers are just like I can't praise them enough because it's such a hard job. Teaching in
yeah,
general is tough, but working special education, takes a special heart for sure.
yeah. I
Yeah.
would very much like to at some point try to work to give teachers that specialize in certain things like raises because teaching, like I said, is hard enough in general, and then to specialize in some. It's like okay, there's like a doctor you pay a certain amount of money to, but then you go to a specialist and you have to pay an absorbent amount of money to because they
Mhm.
specialize in something.
Yeah.
You said that there was a couple things that you didn't agree with um, that had happened over the last few years for teaching. Is one of those things Common Core, and is that why you went and started teaching internationally?
Not really. I mean, some of the like the main thing that just kills me is just testing and like reading tests because it's just I just don't believe that you can, what's that Dr. Seuss saying where it's like you can't judge an
A fish to ride a
intelligence of how
bicycle or
like
something.
climb a tree or something, yeah.
Yeah,
And that one was like that speaks to me. But that's just like my main like focus is just like I just don't agree with, you know, pass or fail of
yeah,
something means A, B, C, and D kind of thing. Um, the only real reason, honestly, that I'm teaching internationally is because of the pandemic. I mean, it's been a wild year to
yeah.
get into education where I right when I started to do my we have like preclinicals where we go to a school and we just kind of do observations of a teacher. The week that I had it set up to do it with the school was the week that the world shut down and all the schools shut down, so I had
Jesus.
to do it online, which is fine. It was, I got to keep working at, my youth center position, so that was nice. And then it came time for student teaching, which then I had to do online. And then I ended up working with that school. There was another international school for a little bit. And then my current position now is still a different school, but still virtual international. So it's like I'm hoping this next coming year I can score like an in-person job, but Washington is
Yeah.
pretty competitive as far as teaching positions. I applied so much last year, just no luck. So hopefully, fingers crossed this year.
Okay.
Something
Fingers crossed
flies
for
my
you.
way. Yeah. Toes.
Yeah. I
But yeah.
the two I haven't gotten this guy on the podcast yet. This guy named Kenny, I won't say his last name yet, is very into politics and is a teacher in New York. And is looking like I don't know if he's getting his doctorate in some type of higher education. I forget which one it is, but like his main goal in life, and I don't know if he'll get there, but he'll get somewhere close, is like a board of ed like cabinet position, like in like the I don't
Ooh,
know, like
hell
US,
yeah.
like yeah. So and I had this other teacher on Jen Restak. I can't pronounce her last name. Forget about it. But she taught all over in like Italy and in Maryland and now in New York. I know you said Washington's hard. Would you ever move for a job? Where would you most want to move? Or do you like it here?
Um, I'm planted. Jesse and I are planted here. We have our house, and
Oh,
my parents are here. We love Washington too, but
great. Can't wait to go back.
if yeah, no, come back. Um, but there's been times where we thought about I have tons of family and we have a lot of really close friends that are down in Boise, Idaho. However, that they're like ranked almost last for like in the US for education. So I was like, well, I don't know about that. Washington's pretty high up there. And when we lived in New Jersey, they're like number 1 or number 2, I think,
Yeah, there's a very good
for
school.
yeah, yeah, and so I was like, "Darn it, if I woulda just, like, done it a little earlier, then maybe that could have worked," but no, and, I know a lot of older a lot of older teachers are starting to retire now because they're like, "Man, this is not for me," doing, like,
Yeah,
online or, like, the hybrid where they would do in person some days and then do online some other days. There's just some people that are like, "It's not for me," so maybe
yeah.
I could just, like, kinda, like, sneak in there for some of those, but we'll see, I'm taking some advice from you and just kind of, like, going with it.
That's
Because 'Cause
great.
I'm not that person, but, I was actually talking to one of my girlfriends um, about us and how we kind of, like, the first time that we met, it was just a quick, like, "That's my person." Comfortable and, like, we learn from each other, I feel. Do you remember when we first met?
Yeah, I remember I think it was like after I remember the first time I met, but I remember the second or third time I met also where I had asked you about my voice because the only time I talked to you on the phone was through Jesse's phone,
Oh.
and I had to bend it, and I was talking like this. So I asked you about that, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm surprised. Like you sounded different than on the phone." I was like, "My Batman voice,"
Like,
but
oh, it all makes sense.
yeah, the just like SpongeBob reference, like
Oh
it's
my
that
gosh.
was like one of the quickest stranger to like best friends that
Yes.
like I've ever had.
Instant, yeah, because it was I swear that it was, like, I brought donuts or I came to hang out with you guys while you ate donuts, I don't remember. There was donuts involved in SpongeBob, and I remember sitting there, and it was just, like I'm pretty sure everyone just kinda started to do their own conversations on the sidelines while you and I just recited the entire, like, 4 or 5 episodes of SpongeBob that we watched.
Oh, those are
Oh,
those are
good
great.
times. Yeah.
I got Paramount last year
Did you?
specifically for all of the Nickelodeon stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have it?
I don't. I saw that we have Amazon Prime, and I know they have all the SpongeBob episodes, so I
Good.
actually watched some with one of my buddies, Chris. We were watching some of them, and he's the same where it's just like I'm pretty sure at least 30 times a day, a SpongeBob, like, quote will just kind of, like, slide in somewhere, and even, like, when I'm teaching my kids, I'll still say stuff. I mean, they're too young, I think they're past the SpongeBob era.
Yeah.
Some of my kids get it for sure. I'll put, like, a little, Patrick, like, thing in my PowerPoint, and p kids will just be like, "Patrick!" Like, "I'm proud of you, A plus." No.
Yeah, I whenever I stream, which I outside of the last couple of days, I've been sick, and last week because I was in Atlantic City,
Mhm.
I would stream like every day, and every time I would get remind me of something, I would like, oh, well, just like, when SpongeBob couldn't get warm enough because Patrick kept taking his rock, when they
Oh,
were
yeah,
sleeping together,
like, bully him back and
he
forth, yeah.
covered himself in sand, and like in that same way, I have this from here to eternity a desire. I don't know if you ever seen that movie, From Here to Eternity. At the end of the movie, they spend some adult time on the beach together. I was I like SpongeBob. I go and I want to have my From Here to Eternity moment, cover myself in sand. But there's a quote
Oh,
like every single multiple times a stream from SpongeBob or
yeah,
those types of things. There, it's probably like for American cartoons, like those first few seasons of SpongeBob are probably instrumental in
perfect.
yeah in like forming best friends, in forming uh just
Bonds of like, my dad and I like, my dad, is over 50 years old, and we still make funny jokes about SpongeBob. I'm pretty sure at least for sure every day, especially when I'm, like, playing games with my friends and we're, like, waiting for someone to, like, ready up, I'll just be like, "Did you hear me? I said I'm ready." Every single time.
I
Every
don't
time.
like your tone.
I'm
I'm sure you are.
sure you are. It's the
uh,
best.
there's there's things on like Reddit that'll say like what's like your dirtiest SpongeBob line without it being dirty,
Oh
like
my
SpongeBob out of
gosh.
context.
Yes.
Someone just puts like a gif like of Squidward like I've come for your pickle.
Pickle. I think we did that one time where it's just back and forth of like, "Firmly
Yeah.
grasp it." It was my favorite.
Anyway. Oh,
"Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs?" Okay, anyway.
he's got the elf ears. Art thou feeling it now?
"Feel
Like
it now,
halfway.
Mr. Krabs." Yeah.
Oh, good time.
Yeah.
So when you said you didn't always want to be, what did you want to do when you were younger, before the teaching thing happened?
I always wanted to work with animals. That was my jam. I wanted like I all the way up until I was a senior in high school, I was determined to be a vet. Like that was my plan. I for my senior project, I had to do a job shadow. I went to a vet clinic in
Oh,
Alaska and I watched surgeries and I was like so like this is awesome. Like I didn't get queasy or anything, which is weird because I'm kind of like with bloods and stuff. I think it's just with relatives or like people I'm close with. But anyway, I was like ready to go. I was like, this is gonna be awesome. This is so exciting. And then I looked up how much schooling there is and how hard it was. And me being the person that I am, I'm not very like confident in my abilities. I've grown a lot since, since being 18, but I was like, I feel like I couldn't do this. And so I didn't. Like I, so I kills me every time. I even thought about doing marine biology. That was my other thing because we lived in Alaska. So when my dad got orders to Idaho, there was for a little bit that I thought about staying up there and doing like a marine biology program. And then my science teacher was like, "Well, do you like being on a lot of boats? Because you'll probably be on a lot of boats." And I thought, "Nope, I don't like boats because people will throw up, and that is my like phobia."
Yeah.
So I said, "Never mind." And then I just had to like completely start
Oh man,
new.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's rough. Is
Mhm.
so with animal puking, you're fine. Human puking, not a good
I'm
time.
out. Nope. I
Okay.
looked it up one time, but I'm always scared to look it up because pictures will pop up. But it's like there's a name for it, like a phobia. And it's
Yeah.
not like, ew, that's so gross. Oh my gosh, ew. It's like fear, like the fight or flight instinct kicks in and I run away. It's happened before where I
I,
will leave. There, like if poor Jesse love my husband more than anything and he's
he starts
incredible, but
puking.
if he like says like I feel sick, I'll be like I'm leaving the house. And my mom is the one who's like, "Do you need Gatorade or anything?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I just left." It's
That's amazing.
terrible and but anything else I'm fine. Like it like whatever, but it's just the one thing.
Oh.
And holes, the
Oh,
tryptophobia or like
yeah, that
bubbly
I've
things.
seen that. Yeah.
And I can't look it up either because it's so rude that when you type up the phobia to see like if you're calling it correctly, there's
Like
just Google pictures there. And you're like, why are you doing that? So mean.
the, Google's funny like that. They troll. Like if
I think so.
they even do stuff where if you type in like do a barrel roll and you hit enter, Google does this like whole
A little
thing. It flips. Um, there's a one that I didn't know I had because every boat that I had been on was either like a cruise ship or it was just like a big boat, or I was on a boat someplace where it wasn't crazy winds or
like, yeah.
crazy storming. But on TikTok, there's something called thalassophobia, where it is fear of like the open sea or open water. And I was like, oh, if you're in a big enough boat, but then I see like videos of people in like the middle of the storms and it's pitch black. You can't see what the water and what
Yes.
the sky is. And it's like, oh, and it's got that music like,
Yeah.
yo, ho.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no.
Oh, now I am scared. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing,
That
but
was a
yeah.
thing. Yeah. And there's actually one that's like where you have a fear of things underwater, structures underwater.
Oh,
And it
like a
is the
iceberg.
most bizarre thing. I have to look it up.
So not just like an iceberg or not just like monsters, but like
Mm-mm, like structures.
oh wow.
It's and
So
I after oh, okay. Submechanophobia is a fear of man-made objects that are submerged underwater. And I was like, that doesn't seem too bad. And then I saw pictures and I was like, that's so creepy and I don't like that. So
oh, send me those
like
photos. Send me those-
yeah.
Or can you screen share?
Can I?
I think you might be able to. But there might be an option. I think I would
Okay.
have to. Yeah, I'll add it once you put it down there, and I'll see. So beware for people who are whatever that was. And
Yeah. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see
oh yeah,
this?
yeah, we can see it. The Jesus one is all right.
Yeah.
And,
So like so apparently this is right here. It's some not amusement park, some like some structure thing that's
that
in
looks like a
in
shark.
another country that looks like a shark and I'm like, yeah, that's a little spooky. But even like if I just picture myself going underwater and seeing like this, like an airplane, that would
Uh-huh.
make me very uncomfortable. I hate this though. Don't like that at all.
Oh,
Whatever
yep.
that is.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
like
your.
that. Don't like that.
Although those technically aren't holes, they're like,
Yeah, even like bubbly, like barnacles,
yeah,
totally. I just can't with barnacles.
really.
Not that
Oh,
I'm being dramatic, it's like a real thing, I promise.
yeah, no, I get it.
But,
Um,
the
okay.
water one is, like, deep water underneath you. That's another one.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen that where it looks like a normal stream. It's like a creek, and then you look underneath, and you could swim over it fine, but like the earth somehow like it goes on for like hundreds of yards, like down there. Where even though if you could float on there and it'll be fine, but it's yeah.
There's just I fell down a rabbit hole looking at stuff like that, and I love the idea of marine life. I find it ever since I was a kid, I've always found it super fascinating. But I do have like water not scares me because I appreciate it so much because of how scary it can be. Like what
Yeah.
you're talking about where like huge vast oceans and you're like it's so big and like there's so many things in there and the trench that is like the deepest trench the Mariana Trench. It's like
Yeah, that's what came to mind too.
wild. Yeah. And I love it so much. But then you go on the other spectrum and space. Now that creeps me out when I start looking at things about space. And I do that all the time where I'll like look at things and then go ADHD brain. I like go to all the things. And then I'm like, I scared myself.
Yeah,
Space is scary to me.
I follow Neil deGrasse Tyson on TikTok, and I feel like I'm bringing up TikTok like all the time. He someone asked him about like why isn't there, when we sent that satellite through space, like why didn't we send like 100 of them because like of the asteroid belt? And he said, contrary to like popular belief, the asteroid belt, there's a lot of asteroids in there, but you'll have like 100 miles between asteroids, and it's really
Oh.
not that bad. Like so when Han Solo is doing like his Kessel run, that's not really how it would go. It would
Yeah.
just be like, oh,
He'd be
okay,
fine.
yeah,
Oh, that's
um,
wild. I love learning about stuff like that.
yeah. Most of space is empty, which is very scary.
I
That's
know. Because it was like I learned recently that obviously like the sun is our closest star. The next closest star is like 4 light years away.
oh,
And I was like, "Oh my god." And my godfather, he is an astronomer and he now works like in astro engineering. And so he actually helped put together the telescopes that go up there and they're like tinkering it and working on it because it was a whole thing where it was like it needs to fold. So he was a part of the team that figured out how are we going to get this satellite up into space but have it be ready to like work when it gets up there, obviously with not having anyone up.
yeah.
And so he worked on the team to almost create like this origami fold up
Oh,
satellite that once it goes into space and it opens and it's like pops open and it's all good to go. And
oh,
it
that's so cool.
blew my mind. So he actually did a video for my class and it was like a 12-minute long video and I was so upset. Like I was like, "What? How cool is that?" Where you just think you're like, I don't know, you just put up the satellite up there that it's just good to go. And you're
That's
like,
so
"Oh, it's true. It has to like be small enough to go and but big enough to be because they have to like, from Earth shift. It's made out of like these glass for like solar energy,
mhm.
but they have to like maneuver like by like a nanometer to make sure that it's like tilted a certain way, but they have to do it from like Earth and I was just like it's
that
wild.
that is so, yeah. That's
It's
such
a
a
smart.
small, precise
Yeah,
thing.
and to do it from so far away,
Yeah.
right?
Uh,
It's wild.
there is a there there's a couple. I don't want to call them like fan fictions, but I guess it would. There's just like theories of, I guess, kind of building off of like Mars attacks or like the fourth kind, where people say like, well, even though we can see like the surface kind of some of these planets, it doesn't mean that we can have that we know what's like underneath their planets, like underneath the ground, or we can only see like certain sides of it. Do you have any big fears or any big concerns of like a don't look up type of scenario? I don't know if you saw that movie on Netflix.
Um, Not really, because this is really morbid and a little weird, but I'm like not scared to die.
Mhm.
Sounds really weird, but it's like if
It's
there's an
good.
asteroid coming, then I mean, here we go. Because have you seen that picture of just how big one of the asteroids is that's like around us? It's like as big as like Los Angeles. Have you
Oh
seen
my
pictures of
God.
that? That messed me
No.
up because it was just whenever you see the comparison of like objects to other objects that that's when it's like the
Yeah.
storm that's on Jupiter, that storm is the size of Earth. That blew my mind.
So that's like that would be like a world-ending event if that
Yeah,
asteroid came
exactly.
down the.
It
Jeez.
would, yeah. And I've watched like simulations of like, here's the impact and here's what could happen. I was like, well, here we go. Like I guess because in my head, like you said, it's like if that happens, it's world ending. It's not like I could do anything about it. So it's just kind of like hug my dogs and Jesse together, and we'll eat some hot Cheetos, drink some beer, and be like, sayonara.
Yeah, I've thought about this also. Mostly when I was on Lucy, I think like I just want to sit in like a chair and just like talk, have a few drinks, listen to good music, and like talk to friends, and just carry on like always. I
Hmm.
think that'd be
Yeah.
really good. That'd be fun.
Would you
I think
ever
the
want to
issue.
know? Would you want to know, like,
Um,
if there's that whole say, or like, that question, if you could know when, like, you're gonna die or the earth is,
yeah,
ending, would you want to know?
yeah, I'd probably want to know because if I only had like 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, whatever, I would live my life much differently than if I would assume, oh, I've got about 40 years left.
Right.
I'd definitely live it much differently, and I would have, well, yes, yes, no, I would live definitely much differently. I was thinking
You
about
would?
like, all right, well, I have to set things up to make sure the money goes to the right places in the
Whatever.
future.
Yep.
But that, as long as I give the right people the keys to that online wallet, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I can just take some of that and just be on vacation for like 2 years.
Yeah,
I'll
there you
see you
go.
guys like 8 times.
Yeah. And so, but that's like the whole double edge thing of it, because it's like that's how you're supposed to be living. You're supposed to be living like each day is your last, or you have a week left. And so
It's
that's like the whole thing, because it's like I don't know if I would only I feel like I would only wanna know just because I have friends all over the world, and I would, like, want to just, like, plan a whole thing of, like, traveling the world so I could see everybody. I think that would kind of be the only, like,
yeah,
reason. But, that's the whole thing is, like, you're supposed to live life to your fullest, so, like, each day is your last. It's on
yeah.
every house decor.
It's hard to know where the line is and how to balance that out. Like,
Mhm.
okay, it was like if I really wanted, I could. I mean, I retired last year anyway, but if I really wanted, I could take all the money I have in crypto and really live life fully for like fully vacations, like no except for probably a couple years.
Mhm.
But then like afterwards, like if I don't die,
Yeah.
then what happens?
Yeah.
And also, even if just I die, then that wouldn't be fair to all the other people or animals that I could help with that money had I not spent it on frivolous things.
Right.
So,
And so let me say this though.
mm,
If I did know, I would want to I would want to show my friend to everyone in town wearing a salmon suit. Just like
that'd be so great.
you're gonna be wearing a salmon suit. Ha!
I I think if we ever had to be in contact with each other like in code and we had to make sure we were each
It's
other.
the real person
Yeah. Oh, okay. This is definitely Ashley. Like this is definitely
wearing a salmon suit. That's
like I had
what
as one friend Castro that I was deployed with, and he was so like nihilistic, was so like into the like memes that were just like, and I just want to die. And there was one meme that he shared where it's just like there's like an alien that like creates a clone of himself and it's like saying, oh, you only have one bullet, who do you shoot? And the one person, the alien goes like, oh no, it's me, Castro, don't shoot. So then you immediately shoot him and be like, ah, the real Castro would never lose an opportunity to die.
die. Oh god. What's that one SpongeBob episode? Oh, the robot when he can't tell like if it's
Oh, Mr.
plankton
Krabs.
just yeah, yeah. The really real Mr. Krabs wouldn't
With vanilla pudding and
yeah,
crabs.
yeah, with vanilla pudding and the oh my gosh. Oh man.
That was
But
so
yeah,
good.
it's so obviously I'm not gonna say the code word here, but Jesse and I, my own husband and I have a code word. So we know if it's actually us. It's like the most random thing, and it's like we do it all the time where it's like
Okay,
even at the door, if it's like, is this really you? What's the code word? And it's just like a jumble of words and it works.
okay, good to know.
Yeah,
That's pretty
make your
jumbled.
own. Yeah, for everyone, for safety purposes, always have a code word for alien invasions who copy you, who knows, robots, make sure that you're safe with your loved ones.
That's a really good idea. Like just like there's you've seen Stranger Things, right?
Yeah.
So the like that first season where the kids like grew up and they from like their time that they were kids, or I guess they were kids in the first season, they
Okay,
had
just
given
FYI, I've only seen the first season.
okay,
Just
good,
F
good, good,
Yeah,
good.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
no spoilers.
I'm
When
lazy.
they went and they gave code names to the streets. So when the big government people were chasing them and 11, they're saying, all right, turn down like Marbury Street or whatever. And it was a completely different street.
Different street.
Like
Oh,
this
I
is
love
First Street,
that.
like, so it threw off the government people because they didn't know what they were talking about. I was like, oh, that's so smart. Kids
I
are,
love that so much.
oh,
'Cause it's
you
all
got to
fun
see
and
the rest of the
games,
season.
but it's, like, for real. I know
Yeah.
I'm so bad with shows, like, I'll tell you that Supernatural, think kinda just, like, took it out of me 'cause, there's, 20 million episodes in
Yeah.
every season, and I think that it, like, emotionally scarred me, like, it really hurt, and I haven't picked up another show yet, and that was, like, 2 years ago.
I don't blame you.
It
Oh,
messed me up.
I was gonna show you. Maybe I sent it to you already. When I went to Designer Con, I got two like smocks, like they're two like aprons.
Right?
One of which is Nicolas Cage, like just a bunch of his faces, like him
Perfect,
on there.
perfect, yep.
And the other one is a dual side, one with Sam and one with Dean, like all of their faces throughout like the show. It's
You
great. I
did
don't
show
know
me
what
that. Yeah,
I
you did
will.
show me.
Oh, I did show. Okay, good,
I
good.
think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Because
you saw
I
the
love
end of
it.
You saw the end of Supernatural, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that hurt. I
That hurt so bad. I cried, like, cried, like,
same
sobbed by myself on the couch like a loser. And
same.
then and then I was telling Jesse about it. It was just like, "Oh my gosh," it was like, "Oh my," it was so great. It was so crazy. And then he's like, "Well, I wanna watch the end." So I had to go through it twice. Had
No,
to he was like, "Well, I wanna see it." I was like, "O okay." And so I had to
oh,
fast forward all the way to get to the nitty-gritty at the final, and he was just like, "Wow, that was really good." I'm crying again. I was like, but it was
that
good. Did you like it though, the ending? I mean, I know
yeah. I
it
mean,
was sad,
yeah.
but
They've both taken that journey so many times. I just like just the way it's just a random hunt is the one that did him in.
yeah, I know.
That's
But
what
they
I
always said that's how they were gonna go out.
yeah. Um, but I'm glad that Sam, the younger, got to do his thing, and
Yeah.
um, they get and cast that hurt that the one with Cass.
Ooh.
I think there's so many times the show's made me literally cry.
Yes.
One was which my friend Autumn got me into it. And well, there's a bunch of people that got me into it. But when Charlie died in like season like 7 or something, and I was like, I call her up crying, like, why would you do this to me
Do this
knowing
to
that
me.
Charlie died? Yeah. And then she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then I call her back like I don't know how like 6 months later, where like she comes back and like,
You're
you
like,
know,
"Hey."
yeah, I was like, oh my god, Charlie's back. She's like, I held
Yay.
that in for months.
For so long. I know. One of my friends that I worked with at Blockbuster, she watched it from, like, when it first came out, and I always was, like, intrigued to watch it. I just never got really into it until later, and I remember I sent her a message, and I was like, "I'm starting Supernatural," and she's like, "Be prepared for the heartache. You'll love it, but there's a lot of pain," and I was like, "Okay." I
How
think
old are
what
you?
hit was Bobby hit me so hard. I don't
Yeah.
know why that one hurt me so much. I love him.
Um, I like how in his heaven you see that he's just like in a recline chair, sipping some bourbon, reading like the Bible. It's like, good for you,
Good
Bobby.
for you. Yeah.
Good.
It's
Yeah.
like, "Ugh, you worked
Oh,
so hard and you." But I will be honest with you, I just have it on for, like, sound, but I went backwards and, like, went to my favorite seasons where it's not sad.
no.
Everyone's still kicking and, like, everything's cool. And so that helps me to, like, go back and be like, "Everything's still like this, right, guys? Nobody's dead."
I remember getting into it on deployment in 2016 because I had some time and the I remember after season 5 I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop it there. That's a pretty good place to stop. And then everyone's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Like, even though season 6 isn't like the best, you gotta like There are some other
Yeah,
great seasons. There are some
yeah,
other ones that are really
yeah. There was some that I like. It took me a little bit to get through. I kind of was like, I'm not a fan of this whole storyline at all.
good.
But I know
But
we got through it. Yeah,
yeah, but we got through. We powered through.
we
This is
powered
the
through.
struggle bus.
Yeah.
So how old are you when you started watching that?
Oh gosh. So it was in Jersey, so I was like
Oh, so
24.
all right. So you're already married. You already had the
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that being like a military spouse, and you were already kind of previewed to things that were going on because of your dad and like
Mhm.
on your mom. You probably got, but was there anything that came as like a shock? Was there any like culture shock when you weren't just a dependent? Like
Mhm.
your dad was in. Now it's like, oh, my hubby's in. Now it's like, was there any difference?
This was really funny and it's a little inappropriate. Is that okay?
Yes, yes, that's fine.
Okay.
We go crazy on this stream,
Okay.
so yeah.
So nothing like and like you said, since my dad was in for over 20 years, that's the only life that I knew when I was born, all the way, as a young adult. And then when Jesse joined, it didn't seem different.
Hmm.
However, I learned about the whole swinger side of like how popular and how much that is a thing.
The
Not
gnomes.
not yeah, exactly. Not anything that like, interested in or anything, but it was just like, "Oh, that's actually a thing." And I went to a concert with my mom a while ago and we both had some drinkies. And so then I was just like talking about like, "Oh, one of my buddies is still stationed at the base and he was saying that that's like a really huge thing." And my
Yeah.
mom was like, "Oh yeah, it happened all the time, like, there were so many people who, would say this, that, and the other, and I was, like, shocked. That's honestly, the only, like, I guess, eye-opening thing was like, "Oh, that really is a thing." I only thought it was just, like, silly movie stuff or, like, whispers like, "The flamingos or the pineapples, that's what that means." I was like, "Oh my gosh." So, that's really the only thing. Everything else, like I said, that was the life I knew, like, military doctors and the commissary and
Hmm.
that's it. That's all that I ever knew, so it wasn't really big. I would be interested to know the opposite side of, like, not knowing anything of that lifestyle and then just being, like, pushed into it.
Thrown into it, yeah.
Thrown in, yeah.
So there's a couple of groups that I imagine you've either know of or at least were in at some point. One was like JBMDL Vent Away, where people just went on there just to vent.
Oh, I love
Kathy
that.
got me into that. It was great.
Love it.
Um, Kathy got me into another one too called JBMDL Secrets and Confessions. Like
Oh, why
boy,
didn't you
that
share that with me? I would have
I don't
loved
know why I
to
didn't. I mean,
s
there is a bunch of memes now, but there was a bunch of people like I forget who answered it or who was admin of it, but you go through this thing and you type in your confession and and it's anonymous. So the person that mods it, it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to share this, and like
Gotcha.
he posts all the
Does it?
confessions, and
Oh,
it's so wild. Like
I
it's
would
so
love it.
and the amount of like cheating, like the amount of like I get swing, but the amount of like also the amount of like inappropriate places that people do things, like in like the Burger King on Bates, like behind, yeah, it's
Oh my
bananas.
gosh. Good
Um,
lord. Yeah, that's another thing too, I think that was also a shock is just, like, the
yeah,
amount of people that are unfaithful, I guess, I mean, you hear about it all the time, I think, like, it's portrayed in movies a lot and shows and things, but when it's like you hear about it and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, what?" But I'm also Jesse and I've been together for a long time, so it's like, to me, I'm like, "What? How could you even?"
yeah. No, I get that. Ooh, excuse me. Um, we had we had a couple of times where I guess I can talk about it now where we had broken some rules. Like you and Kathy were I think we were on night shift, and you and Kathy came on you just like visit, and I don't know what
Mhm.
Jesse was doing. He was working also, like we were working together, but he was
Maybe
on.
was doing something.
Yeah, I forget where he was. I think he was. I don't know what he was. He was working that night, but I remember taking you guys in the PAX van. Like, you guys want to see the flight line? And just like, yeah, let's go. And I don't know why, like, we could get so much trouble for that. I think because I was like the one in charge on shift. Like, there wasn't anything crazy. Like, no one would have found out. But that was fun.
And I
Um,
love it because I think her and I were so unaware of that because if I would have known, I feel like I'm such a annoying like rule follower that I would have been like, "Nope, the rules are saying no, we shall not go." So I'm kinda glad you didn't say it 'cause I got to experience it, and you know what sucks though? I don't really remember that much of it. And
uh,
you went through all that trouble, but it was on a bus, right? Not like a van, it was like a bus, I swear.
was it a bus? I thought it was a
I thought
van.
it was. Mm.
I thought it was. Maybe it was a bus. I don't know.
Maybe another Ashley. Do you have another Ashley friend?
I not that was I knew in the military as close as no, not
Okay,
that.
okay.
Like
Did you
a couple.
dream this? Now that would
No,
be
I
funny.
got to
Okay,
ask Kathy just to make sure
okay.
because there are a couple times where, especially like fever dreams, where I was like, wow,
Did
that
that
seemed really
happen?
real.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get wild dreams. I Jesse and I were talking about that the other day because I have like ride an elephant through the Wendy's drive-through dreams, or mushrooms are growing out of my arms dreams, or my favorite one though I think as far as like weird goes is I was having a race on the ship Titanic, like on the outs, like on the what part of
Mhm.
that is the like are you on the deck part, right?
The bow.
The
They're
bow. Yeah.
1920.
And I was riding on, Leonardo DiCaprio, but he was, like, galloping like a horse, and I was racing Rose on the Titanic, and that was my dream. I have dreams like that, where I know I'm like, "That's not real." My dreams are not like but here's the thing, though. I always have dreams that could never, like, be a thing unless it is people who have, like, passed away. Those are the dreams that I have that are real, and I'm just talking to people.
Might
That's it.
be.
That's yeah.
Like, what did Gary say? Dreams have been considered portals to another realm.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
The dream episode, yeah.
I mean, if you so there was this one time where I took mushrooms, and I know what is like hallucinating because I've
Mhm,
taken Lucy a bunch of times, and I know what is like. This is like so. One of the things that I saw was like other solar systems like talking to each other. Like, I saw like maybe hallucinating, maybe it was like, hey, maybe this is showing me that this is actually happening. And what I think is that there are some things, let's say like radio waves. Like, I can get like Z100 on here. I get like, and I'll only hear it if I have something that's tuned into those radio stations. Because KJO
mhm,
98.3, 106.1,
right,
like there's a whole bunch of radio stations that are always bouncing all around us,
going right,
but we can only hear certain ones that we're tuned into.
mhm,
I feel like certain things will give us the tools to tune into that. And
absolutely.
what if dreams are you just visiting another crazy, like Rick and Morty style reality, and somebody that had passed on, or maybe is still alive in another reality, is talking to you like that? The
Mhm,
reason I bring up mushrooms is because I had my friend Sarah used to take them like all the time. Like, she was great. I love her. And she had passed away in like 2018. And when I took them in 2020, 2021, whenever the first time I took them, I had a conversation with her, and there was I nobody on this earth can tell me that that wasn't real.
real,
Like,
yep,
that wasn't a convert, and it might have been just with like her consciousness when she was here, and maybe like in like Black Panther, like you are, I don't know, you can talk to him like somehow, like
yeah,
Obi-Wan Kenobi, you being a blue glowy,
yeah,
I don't know. That's
I
just something
believe
that
that
always,
1,000% for
yeah.
sure, and I believe 100%. I know that a lot of people say like, well, dreams is like what you're like you don't think that you're thinking about it, but in the back of your head you're thinking about it like your subconscious thing. And I'm like, it's too I don't know, like, I've talked about it before. I think we've talked before, but my my great grandma passed away when I was 4, but she is the one who always comes to my dreams when I'm, like, hurt. So, when my
Yeah.
mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, she came to my mom and me in the same night when mom was diagnosed. And it's not just like, some of them are some people who have passed away I've had conversations with, but with her, she's always just like the guardian. Like she's just like there, watching, observing. And I actually had like a psychic reading, and she was like, the gal who did my reading, and it was over the phone, and she's like, um, you know, I can see there's a lot of like angels, is what she called them, like spirits that watch over you, but there's one that's like really, really strong, and she is like your person. And she's like, "Oh, it's so silly." She's calling herself Dr. Phyllis, like a play on Dr. Phil. My
Yeah.
great grandma's name is Phyllis. And I was like, I knew it this whole time. I freaking knew it because it was like, she'd passed away when I was so young. I never got to have like a relationship with her. So I don't have these like, subconscious memories of her or something. She passed when I was so young.
Yeah.
And I think like you should do it sometime because I really do think, I don't know, I'm very like, spiritual readings and, psychic mediums and all that. I'm all in. I believe
I'm
it 100%.
I'm scared, and I'll tell you why. Oh, so there's a couple different. So like I know what's like a dream, like when breakfast cereal mascots are attacking the base. Like
Right.
I'm sure that dream.
That's a dream.
Uh, so there's this theory that I have that is most likely just absolutely not true, and just but this like so maybe it's like a way of protecting myself
Mhm.
is that as humans you can it's illegal to sell human organs, but it's not illegal to sell animal organs. So in like the 90s, early 2000s, whatever, I read like an article, it's like a newspaper article where scientists would be injecting pig fetuses with human like DNA, like human whatever, and
Okay.
when those pig fetuses would like grow up and like pigs, their hearts would be compatible with like human
Oh,
hearts.
okay.
And so you
Oh,
could sell
right.
animal organs, and
Right.
I forget what even if they were successful or not. But I was like, okay, so we're essentially trying to play like God, or this is like our next thing in evolution. So what if aliens are figure that most of the universe is carbon based? I mean, that's carbon based life forms, and I think it's hydrogen, helium, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. So most likely aliens would be carbon based life forms similar to us. But what if they're as different from us as we are from like chimpanzees, where like the smartest chimpanzees are like they can do like sign language and they can do
Mhm.
maybe like simple math, whatever. But the main difference between us is only comes out of like 2% because we're like 98% the same. So what if aliens are different from us in the direction that we are from chimpanzees? And the smartest humans like Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk, or whatever, they'd be like toddlers to these aliens, and these aliens could do like these crazy things. So what if these aliens? This is my thing. They want to do experimentations on humans. They're like, hey, you guys are similar to us, but we don't like how slowly you're evolving. Let's
Mhm.
take some people that nobody would really miss. Like, let's say a random short woman in Peru that's pregnant, no idea who the dad is. They inject their alien DNA into the fetus that is in these people, and that would be like I'm part alien. So I did that when I had this theory for like a while, partly because I never really fit in when I was younger and I was always a little different. Also, probably because I'm pretty good at math and I'm pretty decent at some of these things that um find like pattern recognition
Mhm.
and some like a lot of things that you would find in like uh, I don't know, just people that their brains are wired differently or whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
But I've never taken like a 23andMe test, and I've never
Mhm.
taken like a and I want to go to like a medium or a psychic just in fear that they would say like you'll give me proof like no, well this is actually like your mom, this is your dad, and that kind of blows my whole alien
Well, you
theory out of the water. The really
you
long
would
explanation.
you wouldn't wanna know because it's like some readings though that they do, it's all about the one that I went to, they called it like, an angel reading, so it's just focused on connecting to but it's all about if you believe in that too, like angels and demons and heaven, hell,
Yeah.
all that stuff, if you believe in that, and it was just and I mean, she talked about things that I was like I don't post stuff about that stuff like on Facebook because there's obviously some things that it's like, well, you posted that on Facebook, but it was like stuff that I would never do,
Yeah.
about my personal life or my husband's and my family's, that kind of thing. But it wasn't past that. So it wasn't about like any type of like, deep, family lineage stuff at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can still, be part alien if you want. It's
Can
all
you be
about what you believe in your heart.
can you be there with me if I do a psychic thing? If
I
I do
would
like a
so do
psychic
it with
thing?
you
Okay.
1,000%.
All
And
right.
I feel like what you were talking about before, where it's like there's just times where you can tap into different parts. So, you know, and that was a huge thing. That's why like the Beatles were like did a lot of drugs because it opened their mind like musically and they came out with
Uh,
wild stuff for the time. Like amazing, incredible songs and amazing new techniques of
uh,
music and things like that. So, I've never done anything like that, but it's so because like what you said, like you're scared. I'm scared to do any type of like psychological drug because I'm already like open, like spiritually, and like my mind is already very like open to seeing spirits and ghosts, and I believe in that. And I think a lot of, alien things, I'm very open about that. So I would be a little scared of what would come after an experience like that, where it's like, am I too open, where it would just be like too much, and it would, like, change my life, like, in,
I
like, a
mean, it
terrifying
might.
way.
It might. I don't know. I forget that quote where it's like, "No man shall hear what he is not ready for," or I guess in this case, woman.
Yeah.
Um, for LSD, it would not do that. It would just like like mushrooms, yeah, like that or like DMT. That could be like life changing. Like LSD would just make you like yourself like times three. Like
Mhm.
Kaocan Ashley times three.
Yeah.
Like you become more
Over
of yourself.
9,000.
um, like it's kind of like the super soldier serum, where you know good becomes great, and if you think outside the box already, you'll
Mhm.
really think outside the box. Like it's like
I would
Aang,
be
where he's talking
scared.
about air bending. Is there a different angle here? You get to see like nine other different angles that don't normally exist, and
Yeah.
it's like a lot of my friends that had they would like microdose on it because they perform better. Like they would take a little tiny bit like every day just to like help like performance and help them think. Like I guess
Mhm.
because your synapses do fire in a really different and your neurons. It is. I cannot talk enough good about it. Knowing
Mhm.
that there are some people that like they'll take like way too much and they'll
Yeah.
like end up in like the psych ward because they're taking like obscene amounts.
Like,
You know,
yeah, not safe for yeah.
yeah. But I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it is a chemical, and some people like peanuts will just have a adverse reaction. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah, it just and I also think, the relationship that my mom and I have is very open. So she's talked to me about, when I was younger when she was like, "Oh, I was like camping with friends and we made friends with like some hippies down the way and they brought weed and so we were having fun, but little did we know it was laced with like PCP and so I just had visions of me digging my own grave. And I was
oh
like,
my
I'm never doing drugs in my life because it scared me so bad. I was like, good
yeah,
job, mom. You scared me into not doing any of that. Like, obviously, because she didn't know. And I would love to know too if there's any sort of, more of a chance of having like a bad reaction or like a bad trip, I guess, when you already have anxiety. Because, you know, I do like really bad. And so then in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if it like intensifies all of my anxieties about, this, that, and the other, and come out on the other end like a shaking leaf because everything just got blown up? Or
yeah.
would I be like, are people more susceptible to
So
that?
that anemone,
Yeah,
yeah.
seen an enemy.
So it's always told to say like don't do it when you're like well maybe you should. I mean I've done it when I'm like crazy stressed because you can take it a bunch of different ways. You can have like this huge serotonin dump from it, like a good way. Like if you're
In a
really
good way,
stressed
right.
and because you do laugh on it a lot. Like things are just funny. Like things that are funny become hysterical, and you just sometimes you should do that when you're stressed, and you need to just know that both nothing and everything matters at the same time, but things are obscene, and it's just like the fun ways that people construct art and do jokes, like, oh, this is really clever, and again, things are just funny. But if I have heard to not do it in a real, if you're in like a bad mindset, like
Right.
if you had just, I don't know, found out like a loved one had passed away, and you just found out you had like,
Yeah.
this terminal disease, probably, well, I mean, at that point, you might, why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, don't, don't do it like that if you're in a bad headspace. But the first time I did it, it was in like 2014. I was visiting this girl who was, like I had wanted, were like flirting online, and like it was like in Detroit. It was so I should not have done that, but it was still fun. Like it was
Yeah.
like we were in this area where pizza places would not deliver to us, but because it was in like a bad,
Oh, gotcha. I see. I see. I see. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was fun. It was just I don't know. We had like a picnic like in her backyard, and it's just a good time. Yeah. Actually, that was the person that, remember when I had like I'd given you a call like 3 times in a row because I accidentally sent you a lewd photo, and I was like, delete that, delete that, delete that. Ashley, did you open that text message? Because it was Ashley, but it was a different Ashley, and it was, yeah.
That
So
yeah, I remember that, yep. And you know what's so great about true friendship? I just said, "I didn't see it. I'm just gonna love
I
you
mean,
still."
it was just it didn't show anything. It was just
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
Chavez.
Yeah, oh my god. Squidward. Oh, I love it. But,
Oh,
like, you're right, though, because I feel like there would be, times when it would be, like, eye-opening, like you said, especially, like, artistically, because I love art and expressing art, and I've loved it forever, and I love just exploring new, like, clay work and cross-stitching work and whatever, but I'm always too scared because I'm like, "Well, it's not good," or, like, "I can't make money off of any of this because it's not that good." You know what I mean? So it's like, I wonder if there's a time like, different, like, psychological drugs that can help you kind of, like, release that, like, whatever, like, how you live your life, I love so much, where you're just like, you just go for it, and you just do it, and you take chances, and you take risks. My anxiety holds me, back so much, and there's just, like, I wish obviously, there are, like, medications and stuff that I've tried that just don't help me, but it's like, I wish that there was some sort of like drug that could just be like, you are like just confident and you could do your thing and nobody's holding you back. You just do it. But I don't know if that just comes with just not giving a shit. I don't
um,
know.
kind of all right. So there's like a bunch of different things I want to go over there. Um, Part of like the being confident not give is from growing up ugly and having most girls like deny you when you go and like, hey, ask me, and you get so used to being told like no in so many different forms that you're just like, all right, what's the worst that can happen? Like, what, you're gonna tell me no? You're gonna tell me, like, tell me something that I haven't heard. So you just go for it. You just like, you ask out the prettiest girl, or you go and you ask for that raise. You go and you do that job interview. Like you go and you start a YouTube channel that has 7,800 subscribers now. It's wild.
Yeah.
Um,
See, I love that about you so much because I made my channel and I did it a little bit and then I got scared and I stopped. I'm trying to stream again now, but again, I just am like, I don't know, because you see, it's also hard to, I think, like what you were saying, like as being a guy and not, just like going out there and just like doing your thing. I feel like being a female and trying to like make it on social media types of like platforms, I feel like it's so scary because it's like you either have to be, well endowed, right? Or you are okay with showing that, or you are really good at video games. Like you have to have like an equation, and it's like really scary. But I don't know if you feel like the same it is for
so
guys or just anything, you know?
girls definitely have it harder on that end because, well, it just depends on which way you look at it. Um, so I am like slightly like losing my hair. I'm not in as good shape as I was, and like I'm not a pretty girl with like with or without being well endowed up there.
Mhm.
Um, it just people will come to your personality. People will come if they like you, if they do whatever. Like my dog statue Dashi. Everyone loves it. NFTs made of Dashi, of me and Dashi, and of my fridge, and it's insane. On the flip side is like depends where you post your stuff. Like on Reddit, it's a little better now, but I still get told to like go f myself or go die at least once a week on Reddit, and it was worse like a few months ago. It's been getting better for like last year, but that's on Reddit. Like I
Mhm.
recently just got a text like two weeks ago, give or take, or like a week and a half ago. I don't know if it's true. I'm good now, but they just said like, listen, they said my name, so I have your number, obviously, like have your address, and you like you're gonna die, and sent me photos of like these dismembered bodies and like cuts, like decapitations, and like arms chopped
Oh
off.
my
And I was like,
gosh.
yeah. So I had to go to like Jersey like twice to like, go and grab my guns from storage locker. I was like, okay, I'm good,
Yeah,
I'm good, I'm
seriously. Yeah,
good.
I'm
Keep
good.
going, keep going.
You're good. You're good.
Um, so it's fine now. Because most likely it was just a troll. But anyone at any yeah, if you're in the public eye, it doesn't matter if you're an actor, musician, streamer. Yeah, there is that danger. Like someone can like hack your IP address, or they can do whatever, and
Mhm.
crazy people in this world. But I was watching a clip the other day where Robin Williams had said, "I don't know if I'll ever be like rich." This is when he was like really young.
Mhm.
It says, "But I know that there are some people that are happier and better off because I lived, and that's all the rich that I'll ever need." And I think that, especially for like our generation and younger, and you do want to make like a difference in the world, like obviously as a
Mhm.
teacher, you're doing that like every day. But me, that's not as a teacher. I feel like if I can go and not give people financial advice, but if I could help them make money in certain
Yeah.
ways, or show them that I got partnered on YouTube just with a phone, like
Mhm.
just with this phone. And if I could show other people that you don't need crazy like equipment to do it, like
Mhm.
my Patreon member shout out is literally on like sheets of paper. Like it's not anything crazy. Um, so I think that if you could put a little good into the world for a lot of people, it's probably a good thing to
It
do.
works.
And for you as an artist, have you ever tried NFTs, like making your art as NFTs?
Mm-mm.
Do you know anything about it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so like Spencer in iCarly, he had in that one episode where he like died, and his art started selling. For artists, they sell like a big piece, like a Banksy, and it sells once, and like that's it. That's what he gets paid for. But if you make your art NFTs, you put in the smart contracts that every time it sells, you get a piece of it. So if I buy something of yours and then I sell it to Jesse, sells it to your mom, sells it to your dad, suddenly you get paid like four times on that. You get paid like a percentage of each sale
Oh,
price. So
interesting.
if you make something like your first NFT and it only sells for like $100, but then you blow up 10 years later, suddenly that's your first piece and it sells for $10,000, you get a small piece of that. So
Oh, interesting.
I think that's really cool. I think that's really cool to try to do. And I think
Mhm.
because you've shown me some artwork, and kids are very honest. And you said that one of your kids in your class is like thought that the artwork that you brought to school was like for her or him, and like they hung it up.
Oh, yeah. They took it? Yeah. I
Yeah,
did, like, a Venom picture, I think, and I lost it, and they're like, "Oh, it's in my room." I was like, "Okay, I will not finish it then." It was just like a pencil, like, there was no color or anything. It was really sweet.
yeah. So like if yeah, again, kids are really honest, as you know. So if it was bad, they'd be like, "I threw that in the trash," but
Yeah.
they didn't.
True. Yeah. Very true, very true.
Yeah, you should. I would say you
Yeah.
should definitely try that. But I think also LSD would probably help you get the like art like an expression of self. So it would probably help you like draw, get you some crazy ideas, and
Mhm. I think it's really interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
The what we were talking about beforehand. Oh yeah, the art and the streaming. I had a post recently that came up on my memories where you had streamed you and your friends playing Uno. I was like, I really want to play Uno now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was super fun. I
That's
really
hysterical.
enjoyed, like, editing videos. I thought it was so fun, but it's hard to do, like, while you have a full-time job,
Yeah,
like, kudos to all the people who do that because it was, like it took me so long, but I did it, and it was so fun, but now that I teach, I have everything, like I don't do that anymore
yeah.
because it's like, I don't know, I don't want my kids to see me cuss
I
on the
feel it. Oh, I
internet.
feel it. Oh, it was on the bus, that memory. I guess
Oh,
it was
yeah,
on the bus.
Jesse. It was?
Or he was.
Okay, that's what I thought. I always pictured a bus, but I don't know.
Uh,
But
so
yeah.
yeah, I mean, well, you have your YouTube name is Ash Weasel, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, I don't. Well, I guess if you're playing games that are popular and they just happen to see you, then yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's
Yeah.
unless you put on like a mask for it.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
As a teacher, can you do um like I know like there's one teacher. This is like back in the day. This one teacher was on like WWE. He was like a sub. He became like a part of the roster, but he was on the Kurt Angle Challenge or something.
Oh, wow.
And he was like a sixth grade like math teacher or whatever. And they fired him because like you weren't supposed to be like what because he was on like TV and you weren't
Oh,
supposed to be.
TV, do this and the other.
Um, are there limitations to what you can do? Like if you got like big enough, would that be a conflict of interest?
Probably. I think so. It's just more of just me not wanting to be, like, my kids or family seeing, like, we, like, cuss and
Yeah,
my group of friends, they're not they're dirty, so it's like I don't want any of my kids to, like, see that. Other than that, I don't care, it's all fun. I mean, they see me this is how they see me anyway, like, over a computer,
yeah,
but, I would just be like, like, all of my account stuff is private because I just you just never know, so it's just, personally for me. There's a lot of teachers who have, open accounts and they even, like, have, like, TikTok accounts and stuff, and they talk about what it's like being a teacher and the negative side of it too, and it works for them, but it's just not my style.
gotcha. I've
Mhm.
uh I've seen a couple. I don't know how these. I don't know why these people are still working. Like I've
Oh!
seen puppy. Was that Penny? That
How's Allie? I
was
think
Allie.
Jesse's home, yeah.
Oh, babies. Um, I've seen the I've seen people on TikTok that are like teachers or they're like working in like a restaurant, but they have like hundreds of thousands of followers. I was like, why are you still work? Like I imagine on TikTok. Oh my God, Josie. What's he do?
I don't know,
Is he twerking?
dancing.
Is he
Yep,
twerking?
yep.
Yeah, he's twerking. Do you have a second headset?
No.
Oh, okay. I was say like bring him on. All right. I'll get him on the podcast at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah.
I
Love
have
it.
some military peeps on every now and then.
Yeah, do it.
Um,
That'd be awesome.
I don't know the pay scale for TikTok, but some of these people that they're making videos that have like hundreds of thousands of views each, and they're just like, I don't know why you're still working in the restaurant or still.
Okay.
But,
Love
well,
you, man.
love you too, brother. Hope you're doing well. My bad.
It's this way.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know if I ever told people that. I guess we could do it now. He was on here before where he said, love you, Ashley and Chim. I have had a couple of nicknames in my life, and one of which happened to be Chim because I kept going like this when I used to try to emulate Donkey Kong at the end of Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers, when Donkey Kong would win, or when he would lose, um, he would clap for other people and he would clap with his knuckles. So that's what I would do. A lot of people in the military call me Chim because I'm like a chimpanzee. Also, in 2016, when SpongeBob became a thing, I was always like, "This
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, man. Incredible.
is a good time."
I love it.
Do
But,
you ever have? Hmm?
hey, I was gonna let you know too, I know that, like, your channel is mostly off of, like, you know, talking finance, money stuff, so feel free if you need to do that, I can hop out,
Oh no,
I
I mean, I
if you
might
have
go live later for like
Oh, okay.
just that type of thing. Do you have to go like I don't know if you guys had dinner plans. I am. We are going over an hour. Do you have to bounce?
I do. I think it's ready for dinner time. I need to start making some din-dins. I'm getting
All right.
hungry.
You go have some din din. You go have a good
Yeah.
time. Tell the girls I said hey. Tell Jess I love them,
Yes, I
and I
will.
love you guys. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, it
And
was really fun. It was super fun. I could talk to you forever about
same,
anything. I love it.
same. I'll send you TikToks every now and then of like some. Oh yeah, there was something I did want to go over with you. I'll send
Oh
you
yeah.
a TikTok of it. It's really
Okay.
good. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Everyone say bye bye to Dashi. Bye bye. Dashi. Bye
Bye.
guys. Bye. Meow. Meow.
Bye.